Okay, we are live. RotoViz live. I'm going to tweet the link out here. We'll make sure we get everyone going here, and then we'll be good to go. So just give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Apparently I can't spell, but yeah. So we are live. I'm gonna tweet this out. Just give me 1 second. Be right back. All right, tweeted it out. Let's get going. So, we are live. Just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. Whoa, what an Indy 500, right? What an Indy 500. I have to cheers to Takuma Sato. I have to cheers to Fernando Alonso. And I have to cheers to, winning a 50-1 bet there. When Sato opened up at 50-1, I knew he was great value. And it was certainly a lucky play. I mean, Indianapolis, Indy 500. They always say the track chooses the winner. So I was really glad that Takuma Sato won. He opened up 50-1 when he's in Andretti equipment. I mean, that's too good a value to pass up. The last time he had good equipment was back in 2012. He almost won. He was under Dario Franchitti with a potentially last lap pass when he spun out, hit the wall, going for the race win, and Franchitti went on to win. So it's nice to see Takuma Sato get his revenge, and it was nice to get him at 50-1 before practice went off and qualifying went off and all that, and his odds shortened down to 18 or 15-1, depending on where you got them or when you got them. But 50-1 winner, I will take it. Let's rock some NASCAR tonight, right? So make sure everybody put in your hashtag RVLive on Twitter, and I will get to all of your NASCAR DFS questions. Really exciting Coca-Cola 600 coming up here. Also, by the way, I have the winner of my poll, the Dale Jr. hat. Yeah, it's my wife's Dale Jr. hat, so she won. Also, I should mention one other thing. I've got the retro NASCAR shirt here. I hope you guys like that. So anyway, let's get to it. We're going to get right to Coca-Cola 600 questions because we have actually a not a whole lot of time, I should say, until the Coca-Cola 600 starts. We lock in about an hour and 10 minutes from now. So I'm going to get right to those questions. First, I just wanted to say, reminder, if you haven't signed up yet for the rest of the year, to do so at the rotoviz.com/NASCAR podcast link. You'll get a 30% discount for the rest of the year if you're not a season-long subscriber yet. All right, with that said, let's get to the questions because we don't have a ton of time. Hashtag RVLive. Who are the drivers at the bottom that we can just auto-exclude when using the optimizer? I mean, it depends every week. This week, I'm definitely excluding the guys that qualified a little bit further forward that I'm not huge fans of. Guys like, Greg Gaulding, Reed Sorensen. I'd rather play Derek Cope at a little bit cheaper price, for example, than Reed Sorensen, who starts a few spots further ahead. So definitely excluding some of those guys back there. I think, I don't hate David Reagan. He's down there at $5,000, but compared to Landon Castle, who starts a few spots further back, Corey LaJoie, etc., I would much rather play those two guys. But I'm not excluding David Reagan. I will have a little bit of exposure to him. But as far as people back there, I think it's of the super cheap tier, the super crappy tier. You're going to want to exclude the drivers that are maybe starting a little bit further forward than the rest of the other crappy drivers, because we're really relying on place differential with those crappy drivers and just some attrition and things like that. So, I don't love Derek Cope as a play this week, but you can't really exclude him because he's starting the furthest back of them all, other than, I guess Jeffrey Earnhardt too, but Earnhardt's priced up at 5,200 for whatever reason. I don't really get that, why he's priced ahead of Landon Castle or David Reagan. That makes no sense. But, so you can use LaJoie, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Derek Cope, maybe some Timmy Hill, but I wouldn't really use Reed Sorensen, probably wouldn't use Greg Gaulding. Might have a little bit of Cole Witt, but I probably won't have much, if any, JJ Yeley at all. So that's about it. Let's get on to the next question. Hashtag RV Live is using two main dominators and a duo of guys like Logano and Larson and McMurray enough for potential dominator points. It could be. I mean, this could be a 2-dominator race. I think it'll probably be a 3-dominator race, given we have 4 segments now. We also have a competition caution at lap 25. So NASCAR is throwing a caution at lap 25 so that teams can check their tires, etc., for the race. So, that's what's gonna be happening there. Got people asking questions. I'm going to reply here on Twitter real quick. So I think it's not going to be a 2-dominator race. I think it'll be a 3-dominator race. I do have a lot of 2-dominator lineups, that said, because I think with Larson coming from the back, you might not need that 3rd dominator in your winning lineup. It depends on how much that 3rd dominator leads. And then, you could add in Logano. I think if you're having a Larson lineup, it's tough to do 2 dominators, Larson and Logano, unless you go with 2 cheap drivers. That's going to be a common roster construction. So I like going away from that roster construction in GPPs. Hashtag RV Live, do you think projected ownership is low on Castle? Yes, I think it's way too low on Castle. That's just part of model building. I think my model has him around 7%. I think he'll probably be 2 to 3 times that. I think he could be up 20-25% this weekend for Landon Castle because of what I said, the Stars and Scrubs roster construction. Hashtag RV Live. Let me flip over here. Do you think putting 4 in... So from my article, I wrote up 4 cash game picks in my article. I wrote up Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and Casey Kane. Putting all 4 of those in my cash game lineup does not allow us to get another dominator if we don't count Larson. Is that okay for cash games? No, I would not do that. And that's why you specifically, instead of just looking at the drivers I pick, make sure you read what I write about them. I said either Logano or Kane is, I think, the way to go in cash games. I don't think you can do both in a cash game lineup because then you don't get another shot at a dominator, and your lineup is also really imbalanced. So I would not do all 4 of my picks in the same cash game lineup. That said, they're all good cash game plays. There's multiple ways to go in cash games this week. Hashtag RV Live. Who is the better cash game play, Logano or Truex? Logano, I think. I don't think there's any guarantee that Truex leads. Obviously he's been great at 1.5 miles this year, but he just wasn't quite the quickest in practice, but it's a day practice, and we'll see how it goes in a night. Certainly, he's one of the favorites for the race. So I just like Logano if I'm choosing between Logano or Truex. I don't even think I would play Truex in cash. Let me see if I even did roster him in cash. I'm not sure. I play 3 cash game lineups usually, so these days. So let me check my 3 cash game lineups real quick while it's loading. Loading. One of these days it'll load. Maybe it won't load. Well, I'll come back to that. No, I don't have Truex in cash. So anyway, are LaJoy and Cope legitimate options today? Yeah, I just talked about them. Definitely LaJoy is a legitimate option. I think more so than Cope. Cope you can play a little bit. My model likes Cope. The optimizer likes Cope because it comes from my model projections. I think it's a little high on Cope. I think he probably doesn't really finish better than 30th, 32nd, somewhere in that range. My model says about 27th, and that's because it's a machine learning model, so it has a little bit of regression towards the center. So I probably wouldn't use too much Cope, although I do have some exposure. I just wouldn't have a lot of exposure. Maybe between, like 4 and 8%. Even up to 10% I think is okay, but I wouldn't go beyond that. Hashtag RV Live, would you rather have more exposure to Kyle Busch or Chase Elliott? I personally, so I wrote both of these up as GPP plays. I would rather have more exposure to Chase Elliott than Kyle Busch. This is going to be a race of restarts, and right now, according to motorsportsanalytics.com, Chase Elliott is the number 1 restarter in NASCAR, so I want some Chase Elliott exposure, even over Kyle Busch, who had that amazing restart at the All-Star race. Hashtag RV Live, what do we do with the Row 2 cars, the 20 and the 24? So that's Kenseth and Chase. So Chase starts 3rd, Kenseth starts 4th. The 20 in particular is tricky for me. Rodney Childress said he was strong in practice. Yeah, he was definitely strong in practice, and that's why I like being a little bit overweight on Kenseth relative to the field. I think he's going to go between 20 and 25% owned. I think Harvick and Kyle Busch will be popular. I think Chase will be popular. I think, obviously, Logano and Larson will be popular. So there's a lot of expensive guys. Johnson starts in 14th. So there's a lot of guys in that expensive price tier at Truex that I think Kenseth could be under-owned, especially in this Stars and Scrubs roster construction. So I'm going to be overweight on Matt Kenseth. And then, like I said, I like Chase Elliott too. Hashtag RV Live, yes or no on Kyle Larson in single entry 100-man GPP? Of course, yeah. I mean, it depends on your goal. Are you going to, is it to win? Is it to cash? If it's to cash, I would say yes, play Larson. If your only goal is to win, like if you're playing a qualifier or something, which we have Fantasy Racing World Championship qualifiers now out, I don't mind fading Larson in a winner-take-all scenario if it's like 100 people or more, or really just in general, 100-person, or I should say winner-take-all formats. Hashtag RV Live, Cope for GPP. Yeah, he's fine. Like I said, I just wouldn't go above 10%. Hashtag RV Live. Seems momentum is building for Kyle Busch over Harvick and Cash, but I like Harvick. I'm not sure where that momentum's coming from. Maybe, I don't know if Stevie did a show or if somebody else did a show that Kyle Busch is a good cash game player. If other touts have been touting him, I'd rather have Harvick than Kyle Busch. I think, Harvick's a good restarter, and I certainly think there's a chance he gets Harvick on that initial restart. But for whatever reason, I feel like, I just have this feeling that Harvick probably has the better car than Kyle Busch. Although, Harvick's crew chief Rodney Childers did say Kyle Busch is one of the guys to watch out for. So tough decision either way. I'm using Harvick in cash games. When he starts in the poll, I kind of just want to use him in cash games. Hashtag RV Live, Suarez and Austin Dillon or Kyle Busch and Landon Castle? That's a good question. This is GPP, so it depends on what your goal for your roster construction is. If you're going like a 2-dominator construction, then you probably have something like, maybe Larson and then 2 dominators. Suarez and Dillon is fine. I like that better than Kyle Busch and Landon Castle. If you're going for a 3-dominator strategy, then you probably want to go with Kyle Busch and Castle. So it really depends on your roster construction strategy. I personally prefer the Suarez and Dillon combination. Maybe go 2 dominators and then like Larson and probably you have to go another cheaper player or driver there. But you could also go away from Larson if you do a 2-dominator strategy and go really contrarian, but that would be, again, more suited for like qualifiers or things like that, or possibly the huge $300,000 GPP we have here. If you're trying to go for that $50,000 first prize, go 2 dominators, go away from Larson, then Dillon and Suarez, and then you've got 2 others you can choose, maybe a 3rd dominator if you want in that case, without even necessarily using Kyle Busch. And so there's a lot of different ways to go with roster construction this week, but I prefer the Suarez and Dillon combination. Hashtag RV Live, ready after the 500. Yeah, I am. That was an awesome Indy 500. Also really glad Scott Dixon's okay. That was a scary, scary hell of a wreck right there. But yeah, I'm ready after the Indy 500. I'm a little tipsy. What's up with the LaJoy love on the optimizer? Well, he starts dead last, and he's much faster than that in practice. He's about 33rd in practice. We'll get some cars that fall out with problems or things like that. So as long as he just doesn't have his own problems, he should probably pull off a 30th place finish, ballpark, give or take a little bit. That's 10 place differential points. He's down there at 4,800. No problem with LaJoy this week. I think he's a decent play. Hashtag RV Live, is LaJoy decent cash game play? Yes, I think you can definitely use him in cash games. It seems to me that my browser here has locked up for whatever reason, so I can't load any new tweets right now. So I'm going to stall here while I hit a little task manager and reboot this this Microsoft Edge browser here. Let me do that. Sorry about that, guys. I think it's going to possibly cut off my stream. Not sure. Don't know what's going on. Might have lost everything here. Let's see. Looks like we're still going. So I'm going to load everything back up. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. My thing just froze. And if I fell off air, you let me know. I'll be sure to check it out. But for whatever reason, I know why. I'm still streaming this Indy 500 race. All right, I think we're good now. Let me load up the hashtag RV Live. Sometimes you get some technical difficulties in live streaming. That happens. So just bear with me. I've got the tweets loaded up now. So we're gonna keep going through them. Let me click latest, and we're good to go. Hashtag RV Live, is Jimmy Johnson a dominator in his starting spot? I wouldn't say so. It doesn't mean he can't dominate maybe in the second half of the race, but I wouldn't consider him one. If you're going like a 2-Dominator lineup and then you have Jimmy Johnson, I would consider that a 2-Dominator lineup. So hashtag RV Live, out of 7 GPP teams, how much Truex exposure should I have? I have 3 right now. I think 3 out of 7 is fine. Wouldn't go much more than that. I don't think he's 50% or more to like lead or to dominate. I also don't think he's less than 20% to dominate. So I'd go in between 20 and 40%, probably somewhere in there. Hashtag RV Live, does the competition caution change anything when choosing Dominators? Yeah, it makes me like, some of those guys that can restart pretty well. Of course, Harvick can restart well. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott. I think it makes me like Kenseth a little bit less. He hasn't been a great restarter this year. I think what it does is it means you can get off of Harvick in cash games, as was talked about a little bit before. I still like Harvick. He's got the best pit stall. He's got a good pit crew. He's fast on restarts, and he is very strong at these 1.5 miles. So not changing too much for me in terms of Dominators. I just think it's possible, that Harvick maybe doesn't lead all of the first 25, or sorry, not 25, but doesn't lead right after either the first restart or the second restart. Probably one of those two I could see him getting past, which means it's very possible for you to, if you want to fade Harvick in both cash and even GPP, depending on his ownership levels. So Harvick's not a bad fade. And also, Ryan Blaney's been very good in restarts. He's got a fast car, at least in the single lap. He wasn't happy with his car in the long run, so I don't know. He wasn't too comfortable with it, so it's kind of a mixed bag there with Ryan Blaney. I think he'll be pretty highly owned because he won that nationwide race, the Xfinity race, and I think Ryan Blaney will get some ownership there. So I kind of like being underweight on him, even though I know he's good at restarts. I just don't think he was super happy with his long run car there. Hashtag RV Live, thoughts on the competition caution. Okay, just talked about that one. Hashtag RV Live, is punting a first segment Dominator and going Truex Larson with mid-tier guys too risky? I think just going with Truex is too risky. You need a second Dominator if you're going to have Truex, whether it's Elliott, Busch, Harvick. One of those guys is going to lead that first segment. You're going to need 2 Dominators at minimum in this race if Truex is one of the Dominators. Now, maybe you only need 1 Dominator if it's one of those first 3 and they lead the whole race, but there's no way Truex is leading the whole race. So I wouldn't punt a first segment Dominator. If you're going Truex, I'd pick at least one of Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, or Chase Elliott to go along. Hashtag RV Live, what are your thoughts about the Fantasy Racing World Championship? No live final, only a 50K top prize. Actually, that is more than twice as much as the original live final, which was only 20K top prize, 25K top prize last year. So they've doubled the top prize. So that's a good thing. They're very good by DraftKings to increase the prize pool there. It's the largest prize pool they've ever had for a live final by about 2-fold. Also, they changed the format. No live final at Homestead, which is a bummer. They did that each of the last 2 years. So they instead made it a knockout round format. 25 people get in, 15 people advance to the second round. I think it's 10 to the third round, 5 to the final round. I'm not a huge fan of the knockout format in NASCAR, where there's a lot more things that can go wrong in NASCAR. And I also am not a fan of having the final round at Talladega, where it's just a crapshoot. I mean, the 5 people that make the final are going to be, they're almost surely going to be 5 pretty decent players. So at that point, you're essentially just rolling the dice and hoping you get lucky at Talladega. I mean, that's not a good way to have a final. I think that's actually a really big mistake by DraftKings. I do like they increased the prize pool by double this year. I do like that they expanded the number of entries. I just hate the format of the actual competition itself. So love the prize pool, love the expanded entries to the contest, just hate the format. Hashtag RV Live, Landon Castle at 20% is what makes Regan Smith 5% appealing to me at GPP. Sure, that's totally fine. Hashtag RV Live, what are your favorite mid-price plays to pivot from for a Stars and Scrubs lineup? I'm not going to give all of them. I mean, if I just give away all my plays, that's kind of defeats the purpose of making them my plays, but I'll give a couple I like. So Daniel Suarez was very fast in practice. He practiced 20th overall. I wrote him up in my article. He starts 20th overall. He practiced much faster than that in single lap and in, various time laps and both practice sessions after qualifying. So I think he's got a fast car. He ran towards the front in the open portion of the All-Star race. So I think he can maybe come up from 20th to about 12th, 10th, 8th, 7th, get one of those back half of the top 10s that he's had a couple of this year. And he seems to be performing better more recently than he did at the beginning of the year. So I don't mind Daniel Suarez. Another mid-price guys, maybe one that's getting really overlooked is Chris Buescher starting in 29th. I think there's a lot of place differential potential for him. People seem to be looking down at Reagan, David Reagan, or Regan Smith as well, down there in the 56 or 5,000 range. But I think, compared to Regan Smith, I like Buescher a lot better because he starts 3 spots further back. He's probably, he practiced better than he qualified as well, whereas Regan Smith practiced worse than he qualified. So that's something to consider. Well, I should say Regan Smith didn't practice worse than he qualified. Let me pull it up here, but I think he practiced worse in the one of the practice sessions and better. So it shows, I think Regan Smith has a inconsistent car, whereas Chris Buescher was consistently faster than his qualifying rank. So I'm pulling him up here, loading it up the practice times. Just give me 1 second. So yeah, we got Regan Smith. He practiced 16th in the single lap in second practice, but then 25th, which is equal to his qualifying rank in final practice. So not super high on Regan Smith, whereas Chris Buescher practiced 1 and 7 spots better than his qualifying rank, and he's also got 4 more spots of place differential potential there, starting in 29th versus Regan's 25th. So I think people will be on Regan Smith, but I like Chris Buescher kind of as a low-owned play. Hashtag RV Live. Who are your favorite mid-price player? Oh, I already asked that one. Hashtag RV Live. What are your thoughts on McDowell? Starts too far forward for me, even though he's 4,900. I love the price tag, but he qualified 21st, and that almost eliminates him. I guess if he finishes around there, he's okay. I think I have a very small amount of exposure to him. Hashtag RV Live. Is Eric Jones going to be under-owned because of recent struggles despite having a Dominator-worthy car? Yes, Eric Jones will be under-owned. I had to force him into my lineups using the optimizer. I changed that minimum percentage exposure. I'll have some exposure to Eric Jones. I just won't be super high on him. There's a lot of guys that can lead this race. Eric Jones is a boomer bust play, which is great for GPP. Definitely don't use him in cash games, though, by any means whatsoever. Hashtag RV Live. Dale is the 8th most fastest laps on 1.5 mile tracks this year, 4th most at quad ovals. How does Dale do today? Well, he was very happy with his car. If you looked at his Twitter, he thanked his teammate Jimmy Johnson for getting him a lot faster. And I'm wearing his hat right now, and my wife made me wear it. No, I'm just kidding. You guys voted me in for wearing it. So I think Dale likes his car. He starts 19th. He's down at a good price, 7,900. Lowest he's been in, I think, the history of DraftKings. So yeah, give Dale a go today. I like him a lot. Hashtag RV Live is going 4 of 6 GPP lineups with Chase Elliott too much. Honestly, all depends on your risk tolerance, your preference. These kinds of questions, I can't say yes or no. For the most part, if it really comes down to your preference. I like Chase a lot, so for me, no, it's not too much to go 4 of 6 in GPP with Chase Elliott. Hashtag RV Live. Thoughts on the last race of the season being moved to Indy? It's not the last race of the season, the last race of the regular season. That's fine. They're moving Richmond into the chase, which I think is a good move. They made a lot of good moves, but we really want to focus on DraftKings right now. So I'm gonna move on past that question. Actually, I don't think I am, because we don't have any other hashtag RV Live questions. A bit of a light show today, I guess, with the Indy 500, Monaco, the non-standard start time here. So please keep your questions coming. I'm going to stall for a little bit here to see if any other questions pop up. Otherwise, we're gonna call this a show. So, that's how it's gonna be. But what else are you gonna do? I'm still stalling here. Come on, guys, ask me some questions. That might do it for this week. Pretty light day here on the RotoViz Live front. We're gonna have a normal standard show next week, 2 hours before lock, as usual. No craziness going on with a bunch of different races. Friedman will be back in town. He was out of town this week, so he couldn't join me. So we'll be back to our nice standard normal show. And we hope you guys will join us for that. But I think that's going to do it right now. Nobody's asking any other questions, so I'll probably do it for this week's RotoViz Live. Short show, I know, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. Looks like we had about 130 of you tuning in, which is great. Oh, we got another question in here. Hashtag RV Live, David Reagan or Landon Castle in a GPP? This one, it's definitely going to be Landon Castle for me. I don't even care about the ownership percentages. Castle starts 31st, and Reagan starts 28th, I believe it is. Let me flip over to my other thing here. Yeah, so I just want those extra 3 places of place differential potential. Do have some exposure to David Reagan, certainly, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Landon Castle. Hashtag RV Live 600 has produced some surprises. Any sleepers for this race to win? We've seen some sleepers in the past. Maybe you consider Casey Mears a sleeper. Certainly he's won before. We've seen a lot of different winners. I think if there is a sleeper, it could be Eric Jones. I think he has boom bust potential, certainly. And I guess Ryan Blaney. I don't know. I don't love Ryan Blaney this week. I might be different than I think everybody else. I think a lot of people will like Blaney. I'm a little bit off of him. Maybe, I don't know. I guess from that mid pack there, Dale Jr. has a chance. Certainly. I mean, he almost won it in 2011. He almost won it. He ran out of gas going in the final corner. So I guess he'd be a sleeper considering how he's run this year. I think Dale Jr. has a good shot to win. Hashtag RV Live, how much emphasis do you put on teammate stacks at Charlotte? Not much. This is a race where I'm not putting too much on team stacks. There are some others, but I haven't really seen one team dominate so far this weekend. Hashtag, or one manufacturer as well. Hashtag RV Live, how much exposure is too much on Logano? I would say don't go above 33%. If you're getting those lineups with like Larson in them, which there will be a lot of, it's going to be hard to have Larson and Logano be in the winning lineup and have 3 Dominators, right? So I wouldn't have too much Logano. I'd have maybe like at most 33%. I'm going to be under that, just letting you guys know. But at most, I think I'd have 33%. Of course, if you're going the route where you think Kyle Larson will crash or wreck out or have a problem, then I don't have a problem having more exposure to Joey Logano, but that is a strategic approach. That would mean you're banking on Kyle Larson having a problem, and your expensive place differential guy is going to be Logano. Then you can fit 3 Dominators and Logano in there with 2 other guys, or maybe 2 Dominators, Logano, 2 mid-price, and 1 cheaper type driver. So there's some ways to go, but the reason to be heavier on Logano is if you're going to be lighter on Larson. That's my opinion. Hashtag RV Live, go over Dominators again. The first 3 guys, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, I think all those 3 right there. Ryan Blaney definitely has potential because he's been fast, but I think he's been faster on single than long runs, so I'm not a huge Blaney guy in Dominators. Truex, of course, is a possibility. Can't really rule out Jamie McMurray, given he had the fastest 10-lap average, but I'm not sure how much stock to put in 10-lap averages in practice, given it's a daytime practice for a night race. And also given that a caution came out really early in final practice. So those are kind of where I'm leaning in Dominators. I could also see Kenseth maybe dominating and Keselowski maybe dominating, but I really don't think Keselowski will, given he wasn't super happy with his car. He spun out a little bit. He had a little bit of damage. They fixed that. It's fine. Don't worry about that. I just don't think he was super fast all weekend yet. So I don't think Keselowski dominates, but you never know. Penske's the master of the strategy. Hashtag RV Live, what do you think of Ty Dillon this week? He's another guy that I think you can play. Obviously in practice, I don't want to put too much emphasis in practice, but in practice, he was right around where he qualified. Second practice, he was 24th. Third practice, he was 29th. He qualified 27th. So that's on single lap. I don't hate Ty Dillon, but I won't have a ton of exposure to him because he didn't look super fast this weekend. Hashtag RV Live, I have Truex and Newman and Cash. Should I move to JJ and Kane? I probably wouldn't use Truex or Newman in cash. I would much rather have Kane. And instead of Jimmy Johnson, maybe go Logano if you can. I guess not Kane and Logano, but maybe go Kane and I don't know. Depends on what you want to do. You could go to Austin Dillon. You could go to Daniel Suarez. Lots of different options there. If you have salary, you could go, you're talking Jimmy Johnson. You could just try another Dominator instead of Jimmy Johnson. So maybe try for a third Dominator there. Hashtag RV Live. Austin Dillon, a good cash game play. He's not a bad cash game play, certainly. I think I'll probably have him in one of my 3 cash game lineups, but I don't think he's a slam dunk cash game play either. Hashtag RV Live. LaJoy, Regan Smith, or Landon Castle. I would rank them barely Landon Castle over Corey LaJoy relative to price, and then Regan Smith third. Now, of course, ownership will probably be going in that direction as well, so I can understand wanting to flip-flop them in GPPs a little bit. Hashtag RV Live, do you put any value in combined practice data? Yep, I certainly do. I use combined practice data a lot. Second and third practice, especially if I combine the two, I find that to be one of the more significant predictors. Hashtag RV Live, is Ty too dangerous now in the back? No, I don't think he's too dangerous. Starting in the back doesn't bother me. Long race. Longest race of the year. Hashtag RV Live. Will Waltrip's hair fly away this week? Maybe. I don't know. Not if he wears a Dale Jr. hat. Hashtag RV Live. Fade Ty Dillon. Oh, we already got to that one. Hashtag RV Live on restarts. Could teams work together in the front row? Yeah, definitely they could. So, on this initial start, we've got Harvick. Then second, we have Kyle Busch. Third, we have Chase Elliott. And fourth, we have Matt Kenseth. What I think will happen is Harvick will probably line up on the outside. So he has Kyle Busch behind him, breaking up that Joe Gibbs duo. Whereas if Harvick took the inside and Kyle Busch took the outside, he'll have Kenseth behind him. Whereas if Harvick took the inside and Kyle Busch took the outside, then Kenseth would be lined up right behind Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott would be lined up behind Harvick. So I think Harvick's probably going to take the outside on that first restart, try to get around Kyle Busch that way, because he has the advantage. Harvick has the advantage just dictating the pace of the start and when the gas gets hit and everything like that. And he has to lead Kyle Busch at least to the start-finish line. So I think that's what's going to happen on the initial start is Harvick will get around Kyle Busch. Chase Elliott will probably try to push Kyle Busch in towards second, and Chase will get third. Kenseth will probably wind up fourth or fifth, depending on how good a restart he gets. That's my best guess for the initial start. After that, certainly teams could work together on restarts. You could see the guy in the outside lane being the leader. If there's teammates starting in the front row, you could see the leader taking the outside, the second place guy taking the inside, and their teammates, and just let the outside guy get towards the front on the inside. So definitely possible. Hashtag RV Live, pick the winner. I think the winner is going to be... it's going to be Chase Elliott, in my opinion. I also like his Vegas odds. I got this feeling about Chase this week. Looked decent in final practice. Mile and a half have been great to him this year. Awesome on restarts. Chase Elliott's my pick. Hashtag RV Live, is Kyle Busch game worthy if I want 3 Dominators? Cash game worthy if I want 3 Dominators. Yeah, he's definitely cash game worthy if you want 3 Dominators. I don't mind doing something like Harvick, Kyle Busch, Truex, or again, I don't love Truex and cash, so I need to get off GPP mindset. Harvick, Kyle, I guess Chase. Harvick, Kyle, maybe Blaney. Harvick, Kyle, something like that. I don't mind that if you want to do 3 cash game. Dominators, that's a viable strategy. I think I'm doing 2 cash game Dominators in each of my lineups. But again, I have 3 cash game lineups, so I'm kind of mixing and matching a little bit my Dominators and cash game. Hashtag RV Live should have asked why no Truex in cash. Just don't think he's going to be the Dominator this week. That's just my opinion. And if you want to use him in cash, you need him to dominate a portion of this race. And I just don't think he's one of the 3 most likely to dominate. Now, my model says so. My SimScores app says so. But my head, for whatever reason, is telling me different from my model. Maybe my model will be right. Maybe he will be. He's been great at mile and a half this year, no doubt. But 7th only in the 10-lap average. Last year, when he led 392 laps, he was first in the single lap and first in the 10-lap in final practice. This year, he was 17th and 7th. So I don't think he has the same car he has last year. Yes, he's good at these mile and a halves, but he starts back there. I think it's 7th or 8th. You really need him to kind of dominate a portion of this race, given his $10,700 price tag, to use him in cash games. So that's why I'm not using him. That's why I'm not using him in cash games. I think that's going to do it. We're at 2:20, 5:20 Eastern, 2:20 here Pacific time. 40 minutes to lineups lock, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to set your lineups. If you have any last-minute questions, I'll be around, but I probably won't be on Twitter too much. Going to drink, going to help the wife make some dinner. all that stuff. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to be back to a normal schedule next week. We're definitely going to be back to a normal schedule. Matt Freeman will be here asking me the questions. Will be more interactive, 45-minute, hour-long show. Prepared, not drunk, all that stuff. 2 hours before lineups lock. So the normal deal. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. Good luck this week. I hope if I don't take down the big one, that beast, $8, 300,000, 50K first prize beast, I hope one of you guys that is listening do, and you tweet me a screenshot so I can steal it. No, I'm just kidding. So I can give you guys props for taking it down. That'd be awesome. So have a good one. Good luck this week, and we will talk to you guys next week. See ya.